Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Investing Explained. Here's today's question. We talked about where you're investing. How can the audience go about finding a high potential market for them to purchase in, and what should they specifically be looking for in those markets?
So I think the first question is, what's actually your goal? Why are you getting into real estate investing? If it's because you want to quit your job as fast as you can, then you're probably looking for cash flow. So you want to start your search by looking at markets that produce cash flow. That's the Midwest, the Southeast, the Southwest. I mean, those are general areas, but those are typically where the price points are such that cash flow is significant. If you're, a doctor or lawyer making a very high W-2 income and cash flow is not going to change your life too much, maybe you want to invest closer to a major city where you have more long-term equity growth, but the cash flow is less. And maybe that's like around Boston or in California or something like that. Once you figure out what your goal is, then you can work backwards into which markets make sense. And at that point, there's all the metrics that signify a good market, such as population growth or job growth, rent price to income ratios. You want to make sure that the housing in the marketplace is affordable for the people that are working there. Making sure there's a diverse employment, or basically just there's enough employers producing enough jobs, and all the jobs aren't consolidated into one employer, for example. So those are typical metrics that a lot of real estate investors use to determine the strength of a market. And then once you're inside that market, that's when you start to look in the neighborhoods, and you can look at crime maps, school ratings, actual employers near where the properties you're looking at are. So I think it's important that you start with your goal and then you work backwards into, okay, what are the healthy markets? And if you're not tied to investing locally, that's even better, because then you can be, picky enough to go actually find the very best market that you want to invest in.
Yeah, I think that advice about starting with your goal and working back from there is really, really good, because I don't think a lot of people talk about that. They just talk about finding markets that have strong cash flow, strong appreciation, have good schools, and low crime. But they don't talk about your goals. They don't take that into consideration. They just kind of provide a blanket statement. And to your point, starting and looking at your goals is definitely a good way to get started there. That's all for this episode of Real Estate Investing Explained. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or subscribe to our YouTube channel to get even more free content.